What's going on, everybody? And I've got another upload here for you today. I wanted to look at ChargePoint stock and Matterport. They both are reporting earnings. Now, Matterport's reporting earnings on February the 22nd. Of course, we're closed on Monday in the stock market, so it's going to be a little bit of a boring Monday here. But I'm going to look at Matterport on the chart. I'm going to, give you some other things to think about coming up into earnings. And I'm also going to look at ChargePoint, what it's been doing on the chart, and their earnings coming up. Theirs is a little farther out, coming towards March. But these are two stocks that I'm closely watching. I do own ChargePoint. I don't currently own Matterport, but I have before. But I've got a couple of things that I am watching for a potential entry point. Now let's get into this video. Make sure you hit the like. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Check out the links down below. Now let's look at CHPT and Mttr Stock. So first off, ChargePoint on the chart here, you'll see that it did maintain its May 11 low. That's a good sign, but we did just break this kind of little uptrend that we saw. And it's very possible that we do start pulling back here coming up to earnings. They are reporting on the 2nd of March here, only a week and a half away or so, and we can see some uncertainty coming up to this point. But sticking to the chart for now, it did find resistance here on the 200 EMA, and as for it falling, you're going to want to watch the 50 and see that it either bounces or maintains these levels. In my opinion, it could definitely kind of come down towards earnings. It does depend on the overall market, of course, and how Wall Street is treating small caps and kind of higher risk stocks like ChargePoint, but this is definitely one that I've been keeping an eye on, and I do take advantage of dips along the way. This for me is a long-term high conviction stock, and I've been with this one for a couple years now. And one thing that we see consistently with ChargePoint, and I mean relatively consistently, is that their revenue just continues to grow. They are expecting 165 million in revenue here that they're about to report, and previously when they reported on December, they saw 125 million. That was a miss, so that could be one thing that Wall Street is a little bit hesitant with heading up to earnings. Of course, the fact that they're not profitable, that's another headwind. So it's going to be important on the call to kind of hear where their minds are at in terms of when they reach profitability. They have mentioned it before. Besides this quarter that they reported on December here, they have consistently beat their revenue expectations, and you'll notice that they just consistently grow their revenue. But let me know how you feel about ChargePoint down below. For me, it is one of my high conviction, top 5 high conviction stocks. Actually, I do really believe in this one for the long term. And I also wanted to quickly just briefly mention Tesla for this one, because as many of you know, Tesla is working on opening their chargers up for everybody, for the general public. It doesn't matter the EV, it doesn't matter if it's a Tesla. And some people kind of see this as a negative for ChargePoint. While yes, you can see it as a negative, and it's definitely not necessarily a positive, I do think that the piece of the pie will continue to grow, and ChargePoint, other EV chargers, and of course Tesla will continue to make more and more money on their charging systems. I see this as a good thing for any prospective buyers of EVs, not only Teslas, but just EVs in general, because it opens up the ability of having more potential charging stations, including that of Tesla and of course ChargePoint, other companies as well. The more these companies have a well-connected network all over the place, it's just like gas stations. Some people are loyal to only, say, Chevron or something, for example, but in a lot of places, sometimes if you need gas, and you're going to go to what is available for you. And I do suspect a kind of similar thing with the EV industry. So I'm personally not too worried about Tesla opening up chargers to other EVs. And overall, as EV growth continues, as more and more people continue to adopt EVs, this will benefit both Tesla, ChargePoint, and many other charging companies. But now, for the rest of this video, let's take a look at Mttr Stock, or MTTR. And looking at the chart first, you'll see it's been on this long downtrend for actually a little over a year now, just about a month more than a year. You'll see that the 21st of January of 2022, this has been in this just continued downtrend, and it's found resistance along the way here. And I do suspect as we come up to earnings, you'll notice that we've been on this ascending line. We can definitely break this coming to earnings. Earnings is only right around the corner. I am personally watching for a break out of this descending resistance, and I'm also watching for the 50 to 200 MA cross. But I am being patient, because last time we saw this curl on the 50 MA, it did take it all back. It found resistance on this descending trend line. It is now curling upwards again, but I do want to see it get closer towards the 200 MA and maybe not necessarily cross, but get towards a cross before I start entering on Matterport. I also, of course, want to hear that call and listen to what their thoughts are moving forwards and their forward guidance. If I miss like a 10% run up, that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. I'm kind of playing it safe with Matterport. As many of you know, I did get out of this one quite a while ago, but it is still on my watch list, and now more than ever, I'm closely watching this one. And I will leave this down below for you so you can just easily get to their earnings. You might be watching this and their earnings could of course come out already, but I will leave the link to their site so you can just easily click on this and listen to the conference call, get all the details there. Now looking at Matterport, this is another one that's unprofitable, big surprise, but you'll see that they are consistently growing their revenue, and that's definitely a good thing to see. And you might be worried that they're not profitable, and of course I am as well, but one great thing to see with Matterport here is that their balance sheet has actually almost $500 million, nearly $500 million in cash, very little debt, and this is as of their last earnings report. So that's why this next earnings is going to be important. We're going to see how much cash they burned, how much debt they racked up, and just if they're continuing to increase that revenue and continuing to tighten up those losses. One thing you'll see here is they have a negative cash flow of about 117 million on a trailing 12-month standpoint, and you'll see that that's quite the decent run rate for them to actually reach profitability. They actually have quite a few years to get to profitability, and while of course it is relatively high risk, it's not profitable. Many of the stocks I talk about aren't. To me, this is actually a pretty solid balance sheet, and Matterport I think has a pretty good shot here. But stick around guys, if you want to hear the earnings call and hear my reactions on it, I will give you guys a cleaned up edited version of it when I'm able to, and also give you kind of my reactions on the actual call, maybe some important points from the Q&A. There's always some juicy bits of information on the Q&A, and I highly suggest you guys, any stocks that you own, listen to the earnings call and specifically listen to the Q&A as well, because sometimes there's really valuable information that doesn't necessarily get spread around that much. But thanks as always guys. What do you think about these two stocks? Are you in Matterport stock or ChargePoint? Let me know down below. Thanks so much. I appreciate you and have a good day.